Hello, my friends. Welcome to the 10th of our 10 introductory talks on Neo-Hasidic Judaism. Today I want to conclude with asking, what does it mean to live as a Neo-Hasidic Jew? How do you do it? What is it about? And how do you do it? Here I'll go back to some of the things I said in the very first of our talks, which you're welcome to listen to again. I want to give you a clear sense of what it means to be a Neo-Hasidic Jew. A Neo-Hasidic Jew means to learn from the insights and the deep wisdom that are found in the teachings and sources of Hasidism without living the life that the traditional Hasidic community lives today, without being cut off from the modern world, without rejecting so much of the wisdom we have to learn from other sources as well, and the other responsibilities we have. Hasidic Judaism is a Judaism of devotion. It's a question of avodat Hashem. How do we stand in the presence of the One? How do we serve? How do we make our life a life of service to the presence of the One, to the presence of Yud He Vav He in all of our lives? That becomes a portal to the rest of the tradition, a portal, a way into the rest of the tradition. When we look at halakha, we have to look at it from that perspective. How does it help me to be an Oved Hashem, to be one who stands in service? When we look at prayer, at tefillah, we have to ask the same question. How do I use this as a way of service? How do I use it to open my heart, to be in the presence, and to respond to the presence? Awareness and response. Awareness and response. Being aware of the greatness of the Creator that's present in every one of God's creations, and learning to live in response to that, a devotional response to that. That's what it means to be a Hasidic Jew and a Neo-Hasidic Jew. Now I want to say a few things about what makes us specifically Neo. Number one, universalizing the tradition. What Hasidism says about the souls of Israel is true of the soul of every human being. And we have to be there to share, to open the gates of our teachings, to say that yes, we have in Hasidism a piece of great universal human wisdom. It applies to everyone. You do not have to be Jewish. You do not have to be living the Jewish life to learn from and be open to the wisdom Hasidism has to share. Number two, we live with the world of science. We accept what science has taught us in the last 200 years about what the world is, what we as human beings are, the origins of things, the nature of the human brain. We've learned so much from the world of science. We may still oppose scientism. Scientism, the idea that science itself can solve all our problems. No, we think science needs spiritual guides. That's right. But we need to live in tandem with, in relationship to science, not in opposition to it. Among other things, we need to take the new scientific creation story that we've been given in the last 150, 200 years, since Darwin, and learn to read it as a sacred story. Learn to accept that story of evolution, but learn to see the hand of Hashem in it, in every moment of it. And third, these are 3 points: the universalizing, the acceptance of science, and the third is the understanding that we are participants in a broader society. We live in the modern world. We have responsibilities to that modern world and to the way things are conducted in it. We are citizens of our country, whatever our country is, depending on where you're listening from. And as citizens, we have responsibilities that extend beyond what's good for the Jews or what's not good for the Jews. We live in an open society where we are called upon to care for everyone in need, not just for Jews. And that, of course, affects the way we raise up sparks, where we seek sparks of divinity. We will find them in all kinds of places where the Hasidim 200 years ago, or the Hasidim today certainly, would not have looked to find them. in needy people outside the Jewish community, in working toward the saving of our planet from destruction by human activity, in working to bring peoples and nations together in peace. All of those are part of our own version of Ha'ala'at Nitzotzot, raising up sparks of holiness and bringing them back to their source. Neo-Hasidism is not a club. I cannot say send in a certain donation and we will give you a membership card and you will be a Neo-Hasidic Jew. It doesn't work that way. It's also not a denomination. Orthodox, conservative, reform, renewal, reconstructionist, Neo-Hasidic. Not looking to be another denomination, thank you. In fact, those denominations are largely based on quantitative reading of how you observe the mitzvot. How many things do you have to do? What are you obligated to do and what are you not obligated to do? In Neo-Hasidism, you're obligated first to open your heart. Among my closest students are people who are very observant, who live within the Orthodox community, and people who are very far from that pattern of life. But that call to open the heart, to be present to the presence of Havaya in everything that exists, that's the call of the Neo-Hasidic path. But if we're not a club and not a denomination, we should become a community. A community means you share with other people what your Neo-Hasidic vision is. You have mit wem zu reden, you need with whom to talk, with whom to be able to communicate about this. And that should happen on many levels. I would say begin with finding a chevrusa, a partner, someone with whom to learn Hasidism, someone with whom to talk about your struggles with it, someone with whom to share that open-heartedness that's at the core of it. If your mate, if your spouse is such a person, that's wonderful, but seek such a person outside the home as well. It's important to extend beyond your own family nest. After a chavrusa, you should also have a chavura, a group of people. Maybe not all as close as their chavrusa is, but a group of people with whom you share your Neo-Hasidic yearnings. A group of people with whom to read together and talk about what you read. You have a whole literature of Neo-Hasidism, beginning with Martin Buber and Hillel Zeitlin and Abraham Joshua Heschel and Reb Zalman, and Lahavdil Minat Tzadikim, my own writings. There are lots of things I've written which you can share. And of course, go back to the sources of Hasidism. I've worked much of my life on translating Hasidic sources into English, so they're available. If you want a big chunk, you take my Me'orei Naim translation, The Light of the Eyes. If you want smaller pieces, there's Speaking Torah. There's my book on the Sfat Emet, the language of truth, and there are lots more by myself and by others. Learn. Learning is essential to what it means to be a Jew. Remember, Torah u'mitzvos, Torah u'mitzvot. Yes, there are all the mitzvot to be done, there are all the good things we need to do in the world, but there's also learning, which is equal to all the rest of the mitzvot. And we must not forget that Judaism is a path of learning, and Neo-Hasidism is a path of learning and growing. You learn in order to grow. And keep growing. Don't stop. Don't have the answers at one point in your life and say, now I know. Keep growing. Keep learning to grow. And that needs a community of fellow learners. So create yourself such a community. It may be on Zoom. If you're not in a place where there are others, there should be some people, some live contact as well, but there may be on Zoom. Maybe through some of the people in my classes or in your Neo-Hasidic Facebook group or some other path online, you will find such people more available than you thought they were. What it means to be a Neo-Hasidic Jew is to live it b'chol drachecha da'ehu, knowing Yud He Vav He in all your ways and everything you do. It means bringing together two elements that have sadly grown apart, Menschlichkeit and Yiddishkeit, being a good human being and being a Jew. They are at heart one and the same. Listen, learn, grow. Thank you, dear friends, for listening to these 10 shiurim. I hope they've been helpful, and I wish you much hatzlacha, much success in your path of growth. Shalom, shalom.